So today we are going to play around with some fun products from the mini catalog, and we're going to make some Christmas cards on World Card Making Day. So whether you have these products or not, you can certainly use these layouts that I'm sharing with you with any supplies that you have on hand. So these are some of the cards we're going to make. We're actually going to make 8 cards. So these are the first 4. And then the other ones feature some of the products from the mini catalog, some of the cards and envelopes. So these are, let's grab the envelopes. This is a pack of cards and envelopes which coordinate together. So I'm going to show you how to use these with this particular designer series paper that we're going to be using. So we'll make some kind of standard cards, I guess your A2 size cards, and then these cards are a little bit bigger. I believe they're 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. So we'll play around with some of these products. I'm going to show you actually in the mini catalog where you can find these products. So this is actually what I'm using for all the cards. We're not doing any stamping today. Can you believe it? No stamping. We're going to use all of the pieces from this designer series paper pack. So I'll show you the paper pack in a minute, but it's called Christmas Tags and More, and it's a 6x6 pack, and it has some nice little die cut pieces, some pre-cut pieces that you can use to create the focal points for your cards and decorate your cards. These are the uh, cards and envelopes that I'm using. I think is that crumb cake? Yeah, crumb cake and garden green, and they have coordinating envelopes. So there's 10 card bases in the pack. And then I'm also using these greetings. So these greetings are really neat. They're gold foil, you'll see that, and they are adhesive backed. So all you have to do is peel off the adhesive and add them to your cards. So this is where I got all my products from, page 15 of the mini catalog. And I just want to point out on page 14, there are a variety of different excuse me, different layouts, different card sketches, scrapbook page sketches, little tag sketches that you can use with this particular pack of paper and some of the things that I'm going to show you today. So let's get started with these cards, and I'll just walk you through all the layouts, all the different layouts that I have for these cards. But I'm going to also show you just what the designer paper looks like. So a lot of the pieces that I'm going to be using on the cards today, I actually just cut right out of the designer paper. So these end up being like 2x3, and they make just great focal points for the cards. So there's quite a few in this full pack of paper. I think there's 8, if I remember correctly. But you have the front and the back. So this is what the back looks like. And then this is the front. So some really neat little patterns there. And then I'll show you the rest of them here. Here is another one that we're going to use today. And then the back of that is, oops, yep, it's this one. So that's the back pattern of this. I should probably move it over so you can see it. And then here is another, yeah, there's 8 of each sheet, it looks like, in this pack. So here's another design on the designer paper. And then this is the back. That's what the back looks like. And then here is another one. And this one, I really like this plaid look. That's the front and back. So that's the designer paper. But in this designer paper pack, let me get this out of the way here. So besides the designer paper, the patterns I just showed you, there are these little pre-cut elements, and you get 2 of each sheet in the pack that you can use to decorate your cards. So we're going to actually use these to decorate our cards for today. All right, so I think that's enough about the products. Let's get into making the cards. So these are very simple cards. I wanted to showcase like 4 designs where I used my own you know, my own paper, my own cardstock, and then I wanted to showcase 4 designs where I used the card and envelope pack. So we'll start with the ones where I used my own supplies. So this is just garden green. These are A2 size cards. So it's the 5.5 by 8.5 scored in the middle at 4.25 inches. That's how I created all my card bases for these first 4 cards. So then what I did is I took some pattern paper and I just cut a 3 by 4.25 inch piece. So I wanted to use that really pretty spray, that little holly and leaf spray. And that's just going to go right down the center of the card. So like I said, these are going to be very, very simple cards, but they're very pretty. Despite the simplicity, they're very pretty. So we'll just add this right down the center. And then I cut 2 pieces of real red cardstock at a 1/2 inch wide by 4.25 inches. And so these are just going to go right on each side. And you can actually put them right up against the paper if you like that look, or you can separate them like I have over here. I think this time what we'll do is let's try putting them right next to each other. Move this for a second. We'll put them right next to each other and I'll just give you a little different look here. I'm gonna flip my card around so I can do this side. Yes, happy World Card Making Day. My favorite day of the year. Of course, I do World Card Making Day every day. So every day is my favorite day. Okay, so we'll put that on like that. And then I just have one of those greetings. So this is from the ephemera pack. And basically, it has like, I don't know if you can see it, but I'll see if I can bend this and peel this off. You just peel these off, the little backing that's on the back of here. And I'm gonna try doing it from this direction. And then you can add these right to your card front. Or if you're doing scrapbook pages, of course, you can add it to that. So they're already pre-sticky, and we'll just offset this a little bit like that. All right, and then I used some of the traditional sparkling sequins just to decorate the cards. So let's just add some gold, big gold sequins over here on this one. And that is the basic design. And then on the inside, you can add some more designer paper or whatever you want to add on the inside. You can also add some of these um, little greetings on the inside or little messages on the inside. All right, so that is the first one. Pretty simple. Let's take a look at the second one. So this is where I used, let me see if I can find that again. I'm going to grab that quick. This is where I used one of those elements from the designer paper. So I just used this candy cane here. I just cut that out and used it as the focal point for this card. So this one has a little bit more layers. So I'm going to tell you what all the layers are. So I'm just using white cardstock for the base of the card. And then I have a 1/2 inch by 5.5 inch piece of real red cardstock. And then I have a 1 3/4 by 5.5 inch piece of the pattern paper. And then of course I have my little candy cane, which is 2 by 3. And then I matted out my little candy cane on a 2 1/4 by 3 1/4 inch piece of soft sea foam. So that's what that is. And then I just have a little 1.5 by 3.5 inch piece of real red. So those are my layers. So let's start layering this together here. So we'll add this one kind of off to the side. And you're not going to put it completely next to the edge of the card. I'm going to leave a little bit of white showing. And then this, a little too much glue there. This one's going to go right here. And then this little piece, we'll just adhere these two together. And we'll add our little red piece next to it. Hopefully this is, at first I was like, oh no, did I cut that wrong? But no, I didn't. All right, so we'll add that little bit of red on the side there. And then we'll just pop this up. I gotta find my dimensionals. So what are you guys doing for World Card Making Day besides watching me? Stampin' Up has an event later this afternoon, if you're gonna be joining that. And then we'll just pop this up right here. And then I just used some of those little pre-cut pieces. So this is just gonna go off the side here. So I'm gonna add 2 dimensionals on the part that is gonna hang off. And we'll add some glue here, maybe. And that will just put right there. And then the last thing is the little greeting. So again, this is from that ephemera pack. So you can just peel the backing off. And for this one, let's see, I am going to just blot off a little bit of this stickiness. So which side do I want? This side. You can use an embossing buddy. I should probably move this over a little bit so you can see. So I'm just using this little embossing buddy, and I'm just going to take some of the stickiness off the right side of this piece. That way, when I adhere this, I can add a little dimensional on this side. If I can find a little dimensional. So I left one side sticky, and then the other side I took the stickiness off so I could add this dimensional. And then this is just going to get popped up right here on this card. All right, isn't that pretty? Cindy is asking a question. Yes, the first card was Garden Green. The card base, she was asking about the card base. This is Garden Green. Probably the lighting doesn't look very good. I think for the most part I used Garden Green and Real Red for all these cards. So, all right, let's add some little gems. Oh, Tony, you're going to be busy today. Really busy. That's awesome. All right, so that is card number 2. Pretty simple. I hope you thought it was pretty simple. And I think this one I added a little bit of pattern paper on the inside. But the cool thing is you can use this layout with all of these 4 pieces right here. So it would look good, you know, with the Christmas tree on there or with the stockings. Maybe you want to change out some of the colors of the pattern paper, but you could basically use this layout with any of those pieces from the designer paper. So, oh, all right. I knew it was going to happen sooner or later. The dogs were sleeping and then they heard some pounding. So sorry about that, guys. Come here, girl. Never fails on a live. Okay, so this one is got a couple more layers. I used some of the designer paper and I just cut it into little strips, little banners. So we'll make those little banners out of this. But I'll tell you what the layers are. So I have a piece of white cardstock for the base of the card. And then I have a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of garden green. And then a 3 3/4 by 5 inch piece of embossed white cardstock. So this is that traditional wreath embossing folder. So I just embossed that and left the center open. And then my little pattern paper pieces are 1 1/4 by 4 1/2. And then I have a 1 by 3 3/4. And so this is, I think, the back of the ornaments is what this one is. And then I have a, let's see, I have a 1 by 3. So this piece actually came from here. This is this piece. So it's 2 by 3 when you cut it out. So I just cut it in half and used a 1 by 3 for this card. So let's go ahead and put these layers together. Oh, so my dogs can hear my husband working in the garage downstairs. So that's the noise they heard. Otherwise, they'd be sleeping. Oh, that's right. Gives us a little excitement, right? During the live. All right. Here, Julie's dog just ran to the window. Is barking back. Sorry about that, Julie. All right, so let's dovetail all these. So let's see if I can do this. Usually what I like to do with pattern paper is just line up the 2 points and then cut to the two, cut kind of from the middle here to the points to create my little banner shape. And usually you can do that without, you don't want to fold your pattern paper. You just want to kind of curl it over so that you don't end up with a crease there. You just kind of want to curl it over, line up the 2 points, and then kind of cut from here to the points, to the corner, if that makes sense. The dogs threw me off. Okay. All right, so we got those. Whoops. So let's start layering this together here. So this is a nice little layout that you can use with any supplies. Well, actually, they all are. They all are good layouts for any supplies, but it's a nice way to showcase your pattern paper. So you kind of play around with your scraps too. All right, let's add this. And we'll add this one. All right, that is our basic design. Just layering these all together. So as I layered them together, I used the little V here. I kind of lined it up with the edge of this piece. So the edge of this piece is right in the middle of the V, and the edge of this piece is right in the middle of this V. So that's kind of how I do the layering. And then this piece, let's see, this is our little focal point here. So I think what I'm going to do is just lay this on here. Let's put our bow on. So the ornament and this little bow came from the pattern paper, that pattern paper pack. These are just some of the little pieces in there. let's add that. So I'm going to lay this here. I'm already full of glue. Of course I am. And for this greeting that I'm using, I'm actually going to add some dimensionals to that one side. So I'm going to take a little bit of the stickiness off of the tis and the, because I think those hang over. We'll just take a little stickiness off here. The reason I'm doing this is because if you leave the stickiness on there and you put the dimensionals on there, sometimes it'll stick in between here. It'll stick in between those dimensionals and you'll get a really weird, oh, I should leave this on for a second here. You'll get a really weird bump. So that's why I take the stickiness off. All right, so let's line this up where I want this. And this is going to go kind of off to the side. So we're going to put that on there. So the sticky part I attach to the ornament. Then I have my dimensionals off to the side there. And then we'll just add some other dimensionals here. Now we can peel those off. Oh, and let's get that dimensional off of there. And then this will just get popped up, you know, right about here, I guess. And that is the third. Are we on the third card? Yes, third card. So notice how I haven't done any stamping. It's all just these pre-printed pieces, the pre-printed greetings and the pre-printed elements from the designer paper. So it's just kind of fun. I love stamping, but sometimes it's just kind of fun to just play around with some pre-printed elements to make cards. All right, so here is the fourth one that I'll walk you through, and I'll tell you what the pieces are. So this one, we're starting with a white card base. So for those of you, if you're just joining me, I'm using just the A2 size card. So this is 4¼ by 5½ when closed. And then I have a 4 by 5¼ inch piece of white cardstock. So a little white on white. And I emboss this with the traditional wreath 3D embossing folder. And then I cut a piece of pattern paper, which is 1½ by 4. So this is what the back looks like. It's that piece. And then I cut a piece of red cardstock, real red, which is 3½ by 2. So let's add this first. We want to do the background first. Yeah, I really love this embossing folder. It's really pretty. I wish it was just a little bit smaller so that I could fit the whole wreath on a card, because you can only fit part of the wreath on a card. You could fit the whole wreath on a scrapbook page, but not on a card. All right, so this we're going to add right across this red piece. So we'll add some glue there. And then we'll add this designer paper right across there. And why does it look crooked to me? It might be, because it might be. And then we'll add this. Add this up here. And then, oh goodness, I'd have to take a drink of coffee. Hang on a second. Haven't had enough coffee this morning, I guess. Okay, so then I have one of the greetings, and I have these two pieces from the designer paper. So these are some of those elements. Let's see. Let's get this out of the way here. So all these little pieces that I'm using to decorate the card came from this designer series paper pack. These, these two little sheets of pieces. So what I want to do is I want to add this like this. And I want to add my greeting over the top. So I'm going to peel this off. And this is probably the trickiest part because I don't want this to move. And I just want to grab it. Aha, there we go. There we go, we did it. I'm going to take some of that stickiness off of here, right in the middle. And then we'll just add our dimensionals. I know it seems counterintuitive to take the stickiness off to add something else that's sticky, but it's definitely worth it. So let's take that off. I have dimensionals all over the place. And then we'll just add this piece right across the top. And then I'm just going to decorate it with these little bells here. We'll add a dimensional. So like I said, the greeting and all these little pieces, the greeting comes from its own little ephemera pack, but these little pieces come from the pattern paper pack. All right, so that is card number 4. So it made some really, really pretty cards. I really like these cards a lot. All right, so now we're going to turn our attention to some bigger cards. I don't know, are these, you guys probably know, are these called A6 size cards? I forget. I don't know, A4, A6? I feel like I'm in football. Hut, hut, hike. All right, so this is just 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. So the cards that come in this pack obviously are bigger than the A2 size card. So does that make sense? So that's this style card right here. That's what we're going to be working with next, are these Christmas greeting mix and match specialty cards and envelopes. So these cards come with coordinating envelopes. So, which I have somewhere. So they are bigger than your than the standard cards that I usually do here, but they are really pretty. And so I thought we would play around with this. Now, this particular design I actually took right from the catalog, almost right from the catalog. I put my own little spin on things, but it's almost the same design from the catalog. So let's take a look at this one. So we're just going to use these pre-printed card bases. So it's got this plaid pattern on the front and the back. So let's make sure we have the front. And then I have a bunch of different pieces that I cut and added to this, this card here. So we're going to start with the pattern paper, which is 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. So that's the pattern paper. And then I'm going to add a 3 by 4 1/2 inch piece of soft seafoam behind it. So let's go ahead and do that. So this is the pattern paper with the ornaments on it. As you can see, I have the ornaments on here. All right. And then we will add this to our card front. So that's just going to go right in the center. And then we're just going to add a bunch of elements from the designer series paper pack. So these are little pieces that came right from here, that came right from this pack. These are these 2 pieces. And if you want to know the measurements, I'll have to measure it. I'll have to tell you what it is. well, let's see, it's about 2 and 2 5/8 by 3/4. And it's probably the same here. Yep, same with this one. All right, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to layer these together. So let's add, I'm going to add a little bit of glue to this piece. And we're going to layer this over the top. All right, so I just layered those two pieces together like that. And then we'll add a little bit of glue here. So I'm just going to create the whole design, and then we will adhere it to the card. So let's go right about like that. Oops, I might have glued it down a little bit. So I like to put together all the elements first, and then we'll pop it up on the card. So we're going to add our greeting. So this is just going to go right there. And now we can pop this up on the card. Let's add dimensionals. Add some smaller dimensionals, I guess. Add some little ones here. So like I said, this is pretty much similar to the one that is in the catalog, the little sample that's in the catalog. Oh my goodness. All right, so we'll pop this up right about here. And then we'll take this little piece and we'll tuck it under there. So let's add a dimensional on here. So I think that's why I like these little packs, because I just like to kind of layer stuff together. I like to layer things together, and then I just like to kind of tuck little pieces here and there. So it's kind of fun to play with. So now let's add some of these little gems. Well, that was kind of a big one, but that's all right. That works. And we'll just pop those up like that. All right. So I just think it's really a pretty card. Very simple to create. So, all right, now I got to move some stuff here because I'm running out of room. These are bigger cards, so I'm running out of room. All right, let's put this out of the way. All right, here is the, I don't know, what is this, number 6? Yep, this is card number 6. So again, we're going to use that larger card base. So this time we're using the crumb cake card base. And the crumb cake one is the same as the garden green one. It's, front and back. It has that pattern. And then it's blank on the inside. Of course, you can add whatever you want on the inside. And so for this one, we have a couple different layers. We have a 3.5 by 3.5 inch piece of real red. And then we have a 1 3/4 by 6 inch piece of patterned paper. And then our little green piece is 2.5 by 1 1/4. And then this little piece is actually a 2 by 3, but I cut it down to 2.5. So it's 2 by 2.5. I just cut it down a little bit for this design. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add our piece, our 3.5 by 3.5. So we'll add this kind of towards the top. And then we're going to take this piece and we're going to dovetail the ends. So we'll just fold this over. Don't crease it, just kind of fold it over and create your little dovetail. Then you can open it back up. We'll add that piece. Oh, a little bit too much glue. So we'll add this right here. And then our little focal point are these cute little stockings. So we'll add this to this green piece. Probably should bring that down a little bit. Let's add the Merry Christmas. Whoa. So we're going to add this off to the side here. So let's see, how do I want to do this? I'm going to do it like this. See, I don't know if you can hear them pounding in the basement or in the garage, but they're pounding. Here we go again. The dogs are going to start barking. I'll try to talk loud so they can't hear the stuff going on in the basement. All right, so I've just blotted off some of that stickiness here. And we'll just add some dimensionals. So let's add these. Oh, I probably should have added that other one, but that's all right. We'll do it. We'll get it done. Before I take that off, let's add this other one. So this just says Merry Christmas from our house to yours. Let's get the sticky piece off here. So this will end up being right about here. So let's add this right here. We'll take that stickiness off again. And we'll add the dimensional. Okay. I got dust everywhere, dimensionals everywhere. Typical card making day, right? Yeah, you could cut this card base in half and have 2 cards if you wanted to do that. Be a little smaller cards. All right, so let's pop this up right there. All right, so that is the design for that card. And again, you guys can use this layout with any of these little elements, these little designs from the designer paper. So obviously I used this one, but you could certainly use this design with the candy canes or with the Christmas tree, whatever you want to do. So let's add a little, I'll use a little one. We'll just add a little one down here. All right, so that is card number 6. Yep, card number 6. Cute. And let's do card number 7. And let's see, here are the pieces for this card. So again, we're using the garden green card base. And then I'll tell you what the pieces are. So they are 3 by 4. So this is a 3 by 4. And then the red piece is 2 1/4 by 3 1/2. And then of course I have my little tree element, which is 2 by 3. So we're going to add this piece first. We'll add this in the background. And then this piece is just going to go across here, but we want to add that tree on there first. So again, you can use this tree, or you can use, oh, it looks like I got a weird thing on the side here. We'll just smooth that off. You can use this tree or you can use any of those designs in the pattern paper. So we'll add that. And then let's add our little greeting. This little greeting says merry and bright. And it's already got adhesive, so we're just going to add it right across the Christmas tree. And then we'll just pop this up. And of course, I'll put all these cards out on the blog for you guys. I created a total of 12 with some of the supplies. I haven't used all of the supplies yet. There's so many different pieces in this designer series paper pack, but I have created some other ones. So I'll show you those after I finish these. All right, and then we're just going to add our little embellishments. So we'll just add a little sequin on each side. All right, so that's card number 7. Kind of looks orange for some reason, but it's red. I wonder if I can make it a little darker here. Let's see, is that better? Not really. Not really any better. So we'll just do it this way. So that's real red that I'm using, not orange. All right, and then this last one just uses another one of those crumb cake card bases. So this time we'll do it in the landscape style instead of the portrait style. And so this one has a couple different pieces. So this is a 3x4-inch piece of garden green. And then I cut down those ornaments to 3¼ inches. So I just kind of sliced off a little bit on this side, a little bit on this side, so that I didn't cut the ornaments completely off. So it's about 3¼ by 4¼ inches. So these two are just going to get adhered together. So let's just do that right away. We'll just add this. Probably have done that. So those will get adhered together, and then that'll get popped up, but we'll do that in a minute. And then I have some scrap papers. I was using up some scrap papers. So I have a 3¾ inch long piece of just some scrap. It's a 1/2 inch wide. So this is actually just going to go right over this ornament. And this design is just like the design in the catalog. Very similar. I'll show you. It's very similar to this design. I just added a little bit of green behind there to bring that out. And we'll just add our greeting. Let's grab that. Add our little greeting here. And then we'll just pop this up. So that's a pretty simple design. Here are my pieces. Oh, we're running out of dimensionals, so we'll just have to cut these here. Got to use all these little pieces. Right. And we'll just leave that one like that. Add that. And then we'll just add some around the edges. We'll just add dimensionals everywhere. And I'm going to add a little dimensional right here on this designer paper. And then we'll pop this up. So I hope this gave you some ideas for using this pattern paper and using some of those different elements that are in the mini catalog, the different greetings and the different card bases. So let's see how good I can get at lining this up here. That'll look pretty good. And then we'll just add a couple little gems. And that will be good. All right, so that is the 8th card. Okay, so let's go back here. So these are the cards. I'll just show you real quick. So these are the cards that I put together with the cards and envelopes. What are the Christmas cards and envelopes? I think they're called. So very simple designs, just kind of some fun layering that you can do. And you have a bigger canvas because these cards are bigger than your A2 size cards. So those are the ones I put together with those cards and envelopes. And then these, I just used my own cardstock. These are A2 size cards. They're smaller. So I just put together these 4, just using some of the pieces from the designer paper and from the greeting ephemera pack. So very simple but fun designs. And then after I finished doing those, I decided to put together a couple other cards, just kind of using up some of the scrap pieces. So, when I'm designing cards, I end up with a lot of scraps. So I decided, let's just lay the scraps out, excuse me, on a card base and then just add a little focal point. So that's what I did with here. These little pieces are from this is from the designer series paper pack, and this is from the ephemera pack. So cute little card, fun way to use the different presents that are in the designer series paper. And then here's another one. So I'll get these cards out on the blog for you, so you'll have all the measurements for all these different little pieces that I used for using up scraps. So, and then here's another one. So just kind of a fun way to use this pattern paper. I really like this pattern paper because I like the traditional Christmas colors. So I do really like it. Um, so for those of you that I know that a lot of you had ordered my card making pack. So I do still have a couple of these left if you guys are interested in these. So this card making pack includes it gives you a half a pack of pattern paper. It includes all the little pieces, the little cardstock pieces, die cut pieces that you'll need to create the 8 cards that I showcased today. And I have the cards and envelopes, and I have some embellishments and things in there. So those of you that uh, purchased that pack, um, I do have a tutorial with all 8 of the cards. So hopefully you guys were able to kind of follow along with me today and kind of use the tutorial to follow along. But but I guess I just wanted to point out that I do have a couple of those kits left. Those kits went a little quicker than I expected. So if you do want a card making kit that has all the supplies that you need to create the cards that I showcased today, you can certainly get that kit. I think I linked to that kit in the description with this video. So once they're sold out, they're sold out. I'm not going to make any more. But I will get all these 4 cards out on the blog for you with all the measurements. You guys have all the measurements for the 8 cards that are in that card pack. Um, but I just put together the card pack because I like putting together the card packs. And I like, I know that you guys like to have stuff pre-cut and ready for you to create. So if that's you, then you can find the link to the kit with this video. Otherwise, I think that is all I had for you today. I got to look and see. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I walked you through all of them. So I hope you guys have a wonderful World Card Making Day. I hope that these card ideas have inspired you to get creative with supplies that you may already have on hand. If you have this particular designer paper, this is just a great way to make a variety of different cards for the holiday season. All right, so have a wonderful rest of your day and get out there and create some cards today. And then Monday, send your cards out in the mail, send them to somebody. All right, so have a good rest of your day and a great week. And I will see you guys again next week. So take care, everybody.